fragile little 4-year-old mind was, ooh, I really suck at this. And then over time, that I suck at this turned into I suck at everything. And then I suck at everything turned into a really bad inferiority complex. I eventually got to the point where I presumed that everybody else had this God-given ability to perform athletically, and I just didn't. And then over time, that turned into everybody else had this God-given ability to do everything. And here I am with no ability to do anything. I really felt like I was useless. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. I felt like everybody was better at everything than I was. And that belief shaped my life from there. Like in elementary school, we'd play kickball, and I could never manage to kick the ball. I mean, the ball was this big. And every time I'd kick the ground in front of the ball, and then the ball would sail past me, and the whole class would laugh. The other boys delighted in telling me how bad I sucked and told me I shouldn't even bother to try. So eventually, I did give up. We'd play kickball, and I'd be the scorekeeper. I mean, at least I could add. So as you can imagine, the kid who thinks his life doesn't matter and that everybody else is better at him than everything also has no self-esteem at all. And other kids would see that vulnerability and pounce on it. I got picked on daily. Middle school was absolutely brutal. Even the girls in middle school were mean to me. I hated school. And all of these experiences shaped my thoughts. My mind was filling my headspace with thoughts like, you can't do that, or you're not good enough, and other things like that. Who here can relate to that?
So we've all been through this. Kids are mean. And the thing is we don't even realize that all these things shape who we are, even when we become an adult. We remember those things. It's amazing how the mind just goes back to those thoughts. And those thoughts, well, they limit us from achieving all we are meant to be. Now, when we let those thoughts in, and the key thing is here, when they come in and we start making a decision from those limiting thoughts, we're in a primal state. You see, there are only two possible states of being. That is, there are only two possible states from which our central nervous system can operate. There's primal, fight, flight, or freeze, the sympathetic nervous system, and powerful, the parasympathetic nervous system, where we're relaxed. We use our higher cognitive powers. We're always in one state or the other, and we cannot be in both states at the same time. So when we're in a primal state, operating from those negative thoughts, we're operating at the sympathetic nervous system. We're in this fight, flight, or freeze mode. And in this state, our minds, all they're doing is attempting to help us survive. The state of being was fantastic when humankind was largely hunter-gathering tribes, right? It kept us safe. It kept us ever vigilant, always on the lookout for danger. Kind of like, that saber-toothed tiger that's hiding behind the bushes, waiting for us for his lunch. But there are no saber-toothed tigers today. These days, we're not facing mortal danger on a regular basis. But our brains, well, they don't understand that we no longer need to be wary of death coming at us daily. So that primal system, it responds to other perceived threats to our ego, just as if they were life-threatening. For example, maybe you make a mistake at work, or perhaps your boss calls you out in a meeting. We're not in a life-threatening situation, right? But our brains release all those same hormones that would get released if we were. So that flood of hormones makes us feel like our life is at stake, and we go into fight, flight, or freeze. We may become very confrontational. We may storm out of the room screaming. Maybe we stand and burst into tears, or maybe we're just muted and we don't think of the perfect response until several hours later, or even days later. Now, this happens because when we're operating from a primal state, we're cut off from those higher cognitive abilities. And it makes sense. Because if we're actually facing true life or death danger, well, we want to be able to make a quick decision and run with it. We don't want to think about it. For instance, if we're out hiking and we're looking and a boulder is bouncing down the side of a mountain, heading straight for us, we don't have time to ponder, what artistic shape could I carve from said boulder? No, we just need to get out of the way. So the primal state is definitely useful. We're not saying it's not, but only when we're truly in danger. But our modern world, it tends to take over more frequently than is useful to us. Instead, we need to figure out how to operate from a powerful state.
So for me, many of my limiting beliefs formed when I was just 4 years old and my dad was trying to teach me how to catch. And that belief of I suck at this took over my entire life. And that was just the beginning of the effect it had on me. Many of the decisions I made over the course of my life can be traced back to that one moment in my very early formative years. It wasn't until I understood neurosculpting that I was able to change my mindset. Now, most of us have limiting beliefs floating around in our heads, and we're not even aware of them. My version, I suck at this, is a variation of the more popular, I'm not good enough. Think about it. How many times in your life have you had the thought, I'm not good enough for that?
So the problem with these limiting beliefs is that they start to form what we call a psycho-cybernetic loop. Psycho, because it happens in the mind, and cybernetic, because it functions just like a computer loop. Now, to understand this loop better, we can look at it in what David Baer calls the 5 primary drivers. So 5 primary drivers, we start with a belief, whether that belief is a limiting belief or an empowering belief. That belief causes thoughts. Those thoughts cause us to have emotion or feelings. Those feelings lead to actions, and those actions produce results. And those results usually reinforce that original belief. And that's the loop. Belief, thoughts, feelings, actions, results, right back to the belief.
For example, if we looked at me playing kickball in elementary school, I'd start with the belief of, I suck at this. So that's going to lead to the thought of, I'm not going to be able to kick the ball and the whole class is going to laugh at me. Now that thought causes me to feel like a loser. And that feeling makes me less focused, which is what leads me to kicking the ground in the first place. So then I kick the ground instead of the ball flies past me, and then the whole class laughs at me. Which then goes to support my original belief of, man, I suck at this. Lather, rinse, and repeat. Our beliefs dictate our destiny.
So here's the good news. When you stop to think about it, aren't beliefs really just decisions we've made? Think about this. If we believe in God, haven't we just decided that God is real? If we believe in climate change, we've decided that climate change is real. Likewise, if we believe getting fit and healthy will be easy, we've decided that getting fit and healthy will be easy. And now there's even more good news because we can change those limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs through that process Mark mentioned a short while ago, neurosculpting. That's the act of rewiring our own brain.
So if our beliefs are decisions that we've made, that means that changing our beliefs is as easy as making a new decision. So if we believe that losing weight will be hard, it means we've decided that losing weight is going to be hard. So all we need to do then is to decide that losing weight will be easy.
But wait, everyone knows losing weight is hard. You can't suddenly just decide that it's going to be easy.
Great question. We can do this by stacking evidence of our new belief.
But every diet I've ever been on has been horrible. How do I find evidence to the contrary?
Well, first off, is that absolutely true? Has there ever been a time in your life where you've tried and actually lost weight?
Well, maybe. I guess so. A few times. But the diet was awful and I couldn't stick with it.
Okay, but you did lose some weight, yes?
Yes, but then I gained it all back and then some.
Okay, but you do know that you can lose weight. You have evidence for that. It is possible. Suckiness of the diet you were on aside, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now let's address the everyone part of that statement. Are there other people who are out there that have successfully become fit?
Well, probably, but I bet they're at the gym 24 hours a day and all they eat is kale.
I've successfully become fit. I'm at the gym less than 3 hours a week. I eat way more than kale, and I'm not alone. So as you can see, neurosculpting takes some time and digging. your automatic reaction is going to be to default to your current limiting beliefs. You simply have to keep going deeper to find even the simplest of evidence. And if you can't find your own evidence, you can look outside for other people's evidence, someone who has done what you're looking to do already.
So this process is not something that we can do one time and be done with it. Our objective here is we want to create new neural pathways in our brain to support our new empowering belief. But those old pathways that support our limiting belief, they're often really strong. So it requires us stacking more and more evidence and doing it over and over. Let's take another example. Let's say I consider myself to be a classic procrastinator and I'm attempting to change my habits to being one of a producer, someone who's productive and doesn't wait until the last minute to get things done. If I were only to stack evidence that I can and do get things done in a timely manner, that old procrastination pathway is going to take over again because it's been my way of life for decades. It's been my thought pattern in my head. So instead, what I want to do is use a tool we call the decision matrix. And this is very simply, you write down your limiting belief. I wait until the last minute to do anything. Then right alongside it, you write down your new empowering belief. I'm a producer. I get things done with plenty of time to spare. And then, this is the important thing, I write down all of the evidence I can think of in support of that new belief. Wow. So I can look back, right? You've got evidence. Yeah. So I had to plan and execute the schedule at our yoga studio well in advance to keep things running smoothly. I've run successful trainings where I needed to be prepared in advance. When I worked in corporate, I worked on a team. So I had to get things done in order for someone else to get things done in order to keep the project moving on. And so on, and so on, and so on. And you write all of this down.
So finding the evidence of a new empowering belief primes what is known as our reticular activating system. So have you ever purchased a new car thinking that there's not many of those on the road and you're going to look really cool and unique driving it? But then once you start it, or once you own it and you start driving it daily, you start to see that same make and model everywhere. That's the reticular activating system at work. A horde of people did not go out and buy that same car that you did right after you bought it. Those same cars were on the road the entire time. You just weren't paying attention to them because they weren't important to you. Right. But now that you own one, your brain is primed to look for it, so you see it all over the place.
So in my example of wanting to become a producer, after doing the decision matrix, that reticular activating system, which I'm going to call RIS because I'm just going to get my tongue tied on that one, but it's now set, my brain is primed to notice all the times that I'm embodying being a producer. So every time I get something done, the RIS notices, and my brain subconsciously adds that to my list of evidence, supporting my new empowering belief. The more often I'm able to support being a producer, the more evidence gets stacked in support of that belief, the stronger those pathways become that support that belief. And the more the pathways to me being a procrastinator start to wane.
Can I interject for a minute?
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you guys have an amazing program, and what I'm seeing is a pattern of repeating of let's get going, let's start doing this thing. And it sounds like the new year's coming, right? This is the perfect time, and a lot of people wait for the new year to make this happen. But we don't have to wait. We don't have to make it a New Year's resolution, right? So with that said, I want everyone to follow you guys because you guys have such great insight into everything that you spoke about. You know, making sure that if someone else has done it, that yes, you can do it too. We need to see that. We need to understand that concept. So what I'd love to do is EA is going to put your information in the comments so people can follow you guys. And I love the fact that you guys share so freely. So thank you for that. I really, really
You're welcome. The decision matrix is really the key to changing those limiting beliefs, which is the key to changing your mindset.
Right, right. What I'd love to do at this point is go ahead and introduce you guys to this just amazing gentleman, EA. EA has done it. He can really teach you how to do it. Remember, when we are looking to go into a new venture, we're looking to do something, we need help sometimes. And a lot of times we don't realize we need help. We should look at someone who's already done it so we have less heartache when we try to do it. EA has been in a room of 50 people who have paid him, presidents of companies who've paid him $5,000 per day and for the weekend. And he's done it 2 years in a row, every weekend. 50 different presidents paid him to teach them how to improve every aspect of their business. So EA has done it. He can teach you guys how to do it. And you don't have to be a millionaire or owner or president of a company for EA to be able to help you. EA has helped many, many people, thousands of people. EA is the first person to develop a profit scoring for companies based on what his mentor taught him and what he learned from interviewing 1,000 millionaires. I'd love to go on, but I'm not as good as EA. So I'm going to let EA come on and tell us how you've made an impact in so many people's lives.
Thank you so much for having me on, Raphael. And for all the listeners and viewers, you can see Raphael and I are members of the Mutual Admiration Society. And I really appreciate what Mark and Kathi were talking about. And just to add on, there's a thing all of us do 35 times a minute. We do this thing 1,250,000 times per year. I repeat that number. 1,250,000 times per year. We all do this. And you know what it is? It's the conversations we have in our head with ourselves. We have 1,250,000 of those conversations in our head with ourselves every single year. Now, no one could tell me those conversations aren't impacting us. And I think that's a great message that Kathi and Mark are bringing along. And I look forward to being able to introduce Vanessa, who sort of looked like she got backed into a corner there. I thought, what's going on with Vanessa? We got to get her out of that corner. She's in that corner. Wait, come on, Vanessa. Anyway, so first she's in a space station, and she's on. All right, so we certainly like to have fun, and I think the world of Raphael, and I'll be able to share with you some of my thoughts about that amazing giver man in a few moments. What I'd like to share with you is something, and it was funny because I was listening to Raphael, and I had this flashback in my mind of something that used to blow business owners' mind. When I did these trainings back then, they were $5,000 per person for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I had 50 new presidents every month. So that's $250,000, right? Each month. And I would always do the same thing at the end of the first day. I would hold up an envelope with all 50 checks in it. I hadn't deposited them yet at the end of the first day. So here's 50 $5,000 checks in an envelope. And I said, now, you're all presidents of companies. If you haven't received, and this is at the end of the first day, we were together for 3 days. And I just had this flashback. It was weird when you were talking, it just popped in. I said, now, if any of you in the room have not received 4 times the value of your check in this envelope, come up and ask me for your check back, and I'll happily give it to you. And that's what it sounded like. There was that sound in the room that sounded eerie. You know, I got to tell you, Raphael, what perfect timing. That's amazing. He just like, and that's what it was like when they saw it. I'm sure they all heard that music. And what was funny was for 2 years, I never had one of them ask for their check back. And that was at the end of the first day, right? And I want to share with you, first of all, what I'm again doing the 12-minute profit scoring. I didn't make any of this up. In fact, I made up none of this. I only had one superpower in my life, and that's it. I was willing to go out and find people who had already done what I wanted to do, and I said, I don't know how to do that. Could you teach me? You know, where everyone today is want to be the premier person in the room and preeminence, and I want to be all smart. My superpower was telling everyone I wasn't. And just saying, I'd love to learn that. Could you teach that to me, please? And I made sure I asked that to people who did it, not ones who were what I call educated idiots. You know, the ones that have all the book knowledge, are spewing back to you all day long, but none of them have execution skills. They don't know how to put it and implement it. They just know what they read in the book, and they're charging to throw that at people. So I was blessed with having a mentor who had done these amazing things, and obviously interviewing 1,000 business owners. So the 12-minute profit score is an amazing thing. First of all, I want to share with you, to sort of set the stage just for a moment on what it is. I'm very profit oriented. I think profits are great. I think I don't love money, but I do like what money can do. My money doesn't control me, I control it. I think when money controls us, that's not good. When we control it, that's a very good thing. And we can do great things with that money, right? And with that wealth. And the 12-minute profit score is specifically for profits. And I submit to you, by working with businesses and helping companies and being blessed with this information that was taught to me, again, I didn't make up any of it. I'm a conduit. And I guess that's what I teach people. They can do it. What? Anyway, so the
Love it.
so what happens is, well, teaching them the information of the 12-minute profit score, literally in 12 minutes. After talking with someone, a business owner, in 12 minutes, I can give them a score on all of their profits. And here's the tragedy of it. The tragedy of it is how low that score always is. And that is, for 12 minutes, I go through a whole, basically ask them a series of questions as a business owner. And first I start out with, are you a charity or are you a business? If you're going to be a charity, no problem. That's great. There's many, many great charities doing great things. Don't expect to earn a profit. That's not what I'm going to help teach you. If you're a business, then I'm going to show you how to make a profit. And one of the first things I start asking people is to learn in their mind the difference of profitability, because as a business owner, as they earn more profit, they can actually be greater service to their clients and their customers. Many times they don't do the things they can because they don't have the profit to do it, and they actually want to do it. So I teach companies how to be more profitable, period. That's it right there. And through the virtue of this 12-minute profit score, they're able to see that in very living color. So I share business owners, if right now you had a car that had a 12-cylinder engine, and you didn't know it, but only one cylinder was working, why would you go around and put more air in the tires thinking that's going to make you go faster? Why would you want to clean off the windshield so that there's less drag on the windows if you only have one cylinder firing and the other 11 aren't even firing?
Mm.
Why would you want to do that? So what happens today, from my observation, is so many businesses get caught up in the busy things that no one's taking. It's like, the old cliche. They're so busy taking care of and in the service of the king, no one's taking care of the king. And it's the same thing. They're doing so much busy work, all these posts, the social media. And I just ask them one simple question. How much money are you making from that? How much profit are you getting from that? Then why are you cleaning off the windows? The other 11 cylinders aren't firing. Look at those 11 cylinders first, then we can talk about the windows, who might give you a 1% increase. The other 11 cylinders are doing nothing right now. Let's get those firing, right? So that's the purpose of the 12-minute profit scoring. And I'm going to share and bring up a quick little screen share here. So bear with me a half a moment as it uploads. Just a few slides to graphically show what we actually do here. So I share with the listeners, and certainly with our guests, I'm about profit. Nothing wrong with profit. I'm for profit. And I think if you're a business owner and you're not thinking about profit, shame on you, because you're actually doing yourself and your clients a huge injustice by not becoming as profitable as you possibly can. So hopefully, Raphael, did the slide come in?
Yes, it's in.
Great. So your 12-minute profit score, how to improve your profit score. A lot of people know what their credit score is. They don't know what their business profit score is. And I would submit to you, your business profit score will have a direct impact on how good your credit profit score is. But most businesses don't know what their profit score is. It's such an interesting thing to be able to share. The problem, you're bleeding profits. You should be making more profit, but it's just not there. Why? Where's the profit? You're working hard. You're putting in all the effort. The profit isn't showing up in the bank account. So we have a simple solution. It's 2 steps. And there is a small cost, but the interesting thing is the cost is not financial. For those who qualify, I'm going to do something for them, and they're going to do something for me. We do what's called a simple trade. So step one, we do a 12-minute Zoom call. In 12 minutes, I will start the call, and 12 minutes will be at the end of the call, and I will give you your profit score. Something if you don't have right now, I have to say, shame on you. You shouldn't be in business. Or you certainly should learn this, because you should know what your profitability is. Doing all the busy work and not asking yourself, did today make me more profit, or did that activity make me more profit? Number two, that is after the first profit score call, we do a second step, a second call, which is the Get on Your Profits Pathway call. This is a 45-minute call where I actually go through the profit score and say, all right, here's the parameters. Here's what you should be doing with this part. Here's the things you should be and shouldn't be doing. And with this part here, here's what you should and shouldn't be doing. And we're going to go through all 12 of those cylinders. And I can share with you, the only person I've ever met that had more than 4.5 cylinders of the 12 going was the man who taught me this. How shocking is that? So it's a 45-minute call where we go through step by step exactly how to get super high profits in your business, because when that bank account goes up, you can do a lot greater, more exciting things for your clients, and not to mention all the benefits that go along with earning more money. So what I'm going to share with you here is the benefit and the power of the profit score. And these were actually some of the millionaires I trained over the years, and the value they put on it and the value they received. Every one of these numbers here, every one of these people, they're documented, they're real numbers. I have them in print on their letterhead, or literally in a recorded testimonial, every single one of these instances. Real estate appraisal company, $150,000 once they learned the profit score and knew what to do. Leadership development company, $1 million they didn't have before. Certified accountants, $111,000. You think, man, what in the world, what do you do with certified accountants? Accounting is still a business, and you treat the business like a business. One of their products is accounting. See, there's a big distinction. Publicity and public relations company, $137,000 they didn't have before. Coupon book company, that was like those, if you ever seen those entertainment books, company that did that, $220,000. Computer recycling company, $1.4 million they didn't have before, but learned the profit score and then knew what to do. Advertising company, $420,000. Computer networking company, $6.5 million. Just by learning the profit score. And they didn't, because they realized they didn't know what the other 11 cylinders were. They were firing on just one. Dean of a major college, $5 million. A design company, $350,000. Automotive company, $300,000. A networking company that later on, actually because of the profit score, went public, and it was worth $50 million to them. So if you were to learn a score that could be that valuable to your business, would it be worth 12 minutes to find out what it is?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
what is the small cost? It's not a financial cost. It's a barter cost. I'm sure everyone's familiar with barter. We simply trade services. I do something for you. You do something for me. That's it. No money will change hands. So if and only if you are totally wowed by what you've learned with your profit score, call, then you agree up front to send one email to everyone you know, simply saying you were totally wowed by what you learned. That's it. That's the whole deal. Just that simple. So there's no catches, there's no strings, no financial costs. Simply agree up front that if you are totally wowed. Now, if I don't wow you, if you say, I do all that crap before, I don't know what you're talking about, I just want to be a charity forever, whatever. If you don't get totally wowed, you're not bound by it. You don't need to do it. But if you are totally wowed, which I'm sure you will be, informationally, because I've talked with enough business owners, over 1,000 millionaires I've interviewed, and was astonished and shocked that they were millionaires running companies and still didn't have over half of their cylinders firing. So 12 minutes. You got to ask yourself, is it worth 12 minutes? So that's what we do with the 12-minute profit sharing. And I'm going to put a link. It's actually a Calendly link. I'll put in the comments. And if you are interested in getting a 12-minute profit score and have a 12-minute Zoom call with me, you just click on the link, make your appointment for a 12-minute Zoom call, and we'll start the call. At the end of 12 minutes, we'll stop the call. That'll be it. We'll be done. And I'll guarantee you an enlightenment. And if you're a business owner and you know your credit score and you don't know your profit score, shame on you. We call that naive. You're missing the other 11 cylinders that should be firing, and they're already there. They're under the hood. You got them already, but you're doing the wrong thing. You're putting air in the tires. It's not going to help you. You need to get the 11 cylinders firing. And we look at profitability, and by creating so much value for your clients and thinking about the client. In closing, we all have one challenge. I have this challenge. Vanessa does. Kathi does. Mark does. Raphael does. We all have this challenge. Mm-hmm. As our ability and knowledge goes up about anything, our inability to think like a customer goes up in direct proportion. We can no longer think like a customer. We are now too smart. It's yet we can't, and you're not able to unsee it. It's like trying to unsee something. You saw it. It's too late. You saw it, right? So what we need to do is we need to have, that's the value in having a Vanessa come into your life. That's a value in having a Kathi and Mark come into your life, because they get the perspective. There's a reason the coaches are on the sidelines of the football team and not standing next to the quarterback. He's on the sidelines so he can see the whole thing. A different perspective. And that perspective allows him to talk into the mic and tell the quarterback, look at that guy over there on the left. He's about ready to ram you. Right? But the quarterback can't see that because he's got 4 guys in front of him. So the value in having a Kathi and a Mark or a Vanessa or a Raphael in your life is, if nothing more, just to add a perspective that will be so valuable for you in business. I'm an advocate for mentors. My business mentor is how I learned all of this. I was so blessed. God was look on me that day. One day I did something right somewhere in my life, and that man entered my life, and I can share with you what an amazing man he was to be able, and I was so blessed to hear and learn all these things. So I look forward to being able to share that info with you. And with that, I'll put that in the links, as I actually at this point am able to introduce, which I'm happy to do, the amazing Vanessa, who's so busy today. She actually would be a good advocate for cloning, because she has to be at like 4 places at once. So I figure out how to do it, Vanessa. So for our listeners, let me give you a little background. Vanessa Raymond, she helps entrepreneurs, speakers, leaders improve their confidence, create meaningful relationships so that you can show up your best version. And how awesome is that? Who doesn't want to show up in their best version, right? And so many people show up in so much lesser degree. So some of the things Vanessa teaches is the ultimate secrets of unstoppable confidence. Not just confidence, but unstoppable confidence. She shares practical insights how to do that. The important factor of showing you how to be your very best you, what to do about it, and not just innocuous broad terms and references, but actual usable tools at a very granular approach that will be able to help you implement these things. So with that, Vanessa, please share with our listeners some of the golden nuggets.
Thank you, EA. And I am definitely going to have to take you up on that 12-minute call. I'll be there.
Awesome.
Awesome. And Raphael, thank you for having me here today. I'm so excited to share with everyone. I know we're talking about mindset, and confidence is a mindset, right? And Mark and Kathi, I absolutely resonated with every single thing you said. It's such a good introduction for what I do, because everything works together, the mindset, the body. So for me, when I work with my clients on showing up as the very best version of themselves, my background is very physical. So I actually come from a physical perspective, just because that is what I have experienced and learned and grew through. And so I loved when EA said that he talks about, I don't know, what did you say, EA? You said the educated people that are educated, but they haven't really experienced it and lived it. And honestly, everything that I teach comes from my experience in life. Yes, I, did the certifications and I did the book knowledge thing, but literally, just to give you a little background so you understand where I'm coming from, you might detect a little bit of an accent. I am originally from South Africa, born and raised. And my whole life, I grew up dancing, singing, and acting. So I loved the performance industry. But I grew up in a tiny little town at the tip of Africa. So who makes that a career? Nobody, not out there anyway. So it was a very far-fetched dream for me. But I never gave up on that dream. And so I don't bore you with all the details. Long story short, I stuck to my dream regardless of all the naysayers, all the people out there that said, this is just a dream. How's that ever going to happen? And I managed to make my way to the stage by studying musical theater and making the performing arts my career. However, the performing arts also led me to the fitness industry. So I have a vast background in the performing arts as well as in the fitness industry as a Pilates instructor, a yoga instructor, and also kettlebell instructor. And then that also led me further into the wellness industry. For me, the thing with confidence is that confidence is ever changing. We all know that. Confidence in different areas of our lives come through stacking those wins. As Kathi and Mark talked, they talked about stacking the wins and talking about what we have achieved and remembering what we have achieved. I have always seen myself as very average at what I do, talking about limiting beliefs, right? Mm. But, we look at ourselves in one way, and we are very quick to also create our own ideas and thoughts of how others see us. So we very quickly impose other people's thoughts on ourselves. We might think other people think we are such and such, or in the performance industry, it was, I'm not good enough, or I don't kick my leg high enough, or I'm not skinny enough, or I'm not. So all those limiting beliefs. And then you go from audition to audition, or, if you're not familiar with the performance industry, you can also think about going from interview to interview, job interviews, whether it might be for any kind of career or whether you're in the performance industry and it's auditions. There are those no's. You hear those no's a lot, and there's a lot of ridicule that comes with that. Mindset is huge, and a lot of people ask me, they're like, so how do I get that confidence? Where do I get it from? Well, I focus on some of the physical tools before I go to the mental. Of course, they all work together, and I literally work on both. But what I want to share with you today is some physical tools that we can use to improve our mental, emotional state and the way we feel. Because in the end, feeling good about yourself comes back to feeling good about life, being joyful, being energetic, feeling healthy. A lot of the people that I work with in the gym come in there saying to me, oh my gosh, a lot of people struggle with pain. Back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain. Did you know that 90% of the time that pain is caused by poor movement patterns, which is caused by poor posture? Because every day, we sit in front of our phones, our computers, our cars, we drive, and all of this conglomerates into this hunched over poor posture, which in terms of confidence and in terms of how other people view us, translates into low self-image or low confidence. Let me explain it this way. And Raphael knows we've had this conversation. Yes. Let me explain it this way. The way we feel translates directly into our bodies, not only in form of stress, anxiety, and pain, but also affects our body language. So if you are getting up on the wrong side of the bed that day, or you're having a bad day, you're feeling maybe depressed, you're feeling anxiety, or you're sad over something, that is going to translate into your body language. We're going to see you maybe drop your chin, the corners of the mouth down. We close ourselves off. We want to feel secure. We want to feel taken care of. But the more we go into that posture of feeling that way, the more that encourages those feelings, because the way our body moves actually affects the way our body excretes hormones and chemicals in our brain. So my philosophy comes from understanding that no matter what kind of day I'm having, how am I going to walk into that audition or into that job interview still looking like I am feeling great, I am confident, even if inside maybe I don't feel it so much? But here is the magical thing, and this is what I love, and this is why I teach is so empowering. What is so empowering about what I teach is that just like our emotions affect our body language and our posture and our body language affects how we feel. You can literally change your mental and emotional state by changing the way you act, by changing the way you carry your body. So I talk about posture, and it's so funny because when I say the word posture, everyone immediately sits up straight. Or if I just say the word, everyone's like, "Oh my goodness!" Okay,
I just did that.
I know. She's watching me, right? But no, it's like a superpower. It really is. And I always say to people, it is like a snowball effect, because what I teach initially, it seems like, okay, well, I'm faking this. I'm not really feeling this way. What am I doing? But are you familiar with power poses? So power poses are really just postural poses that are really, really open and big and wide. I mean, if you look at the animal kingdom, when an animal wants to look confident or scare away its prey, what does it do? What does it do? It gets really big, and it might make a big sound, right? So as humans, we are the same. But what that does is when you straighten up and you open up your chest, you lengthen and elongate through the spine, you align yourself with gravity, you are doing multiple things. You are not just looking better, right? Because it is aesthetically lovely to look at. You're looking more powerful, you're looking more in charge and more in control. But here's the thing, you actually are being more powerful, more energetic, and more in control, because firstly, we're opening up the lungs. We're allowing air into our lungs. When we're all crunched up, we're not breathing. So we're getting air to the lungs, air to the brain. You can think more clearly. You are aligning with gravity. So you're not fighting gravity all the time and getting the neck pain and the lower back pain, because gravity is pulling on all the extremities that is sticking out, right? So if your head, neck, and everything's leaning forward, it's being pulled by gravity. And that's why most people suffer from immense neck and shoulder pain. Imagine if you can align your body with gravity and you can feel weightless and airless. That allows the chakras of the body to open up. Those of you familiar with the chakras of the body, and you're allowing energy to flow through the body. So now you're feeling lighter, you're feeling more energetic and less pain. And what happens when you feel less pain? Because pain, let's face it, pain makes us feel grumpy, makes us feel irritable, makes us feel unhappy. So now you are adding to that invigorating, joyful feeling of life and really enjoying life. And then last but not least, when we, and this has been scientifically proven, when we open our bodies and we assume that powerful posture, which doesn't really necessarily have to be the Wonder Woman or the victory pose, which are the ones we are familiar with, right? It can just be simply opening up and widening up the body. We are encouraging the brain and the hormonal system to secrete those hormones that are our power hormones, like testosterone, like cortisol is our stress hormone. Testosterone is our power hormone. So actually, if I can give you a couple statistics, there was a study done, and I know I'm talking a lot, Raphael. I love the subject matter.
That's
I get so fired up. So testosterone is our power hormone, right? And cortisol is our stress hormone. So they've done some studies where they put people in rooms. They had two different study groups, one which they allowed into rooms and had them hold power postures for 2 minutes. And then the other group went and they held low power postures for 2 minutes. There was no stimulus, no sound, nothing to read, just a white room. And of course, they tested their hormones before they went in. They did the saliva testing. And then when they came out, they redid the saliva testing. And they also actually encouraged them to gamble. And the interesting thing is that the group that were in the low posture poses were 60% less likely to take the gambling challenge than the people that were in the high power poses. And other than that, the cortisol levels of the people in the low power poses had increased by up to 20%, and their testosterone levels had decreased by up to 25%. And the high power pose people, their testosterone levels increased by up to 25%, and the cortisol levels decreased by up to 20%. So it is such a fascinating thing. And then I say to my clients, well, right, you're not going to walk into a job interview and stand like this, right? Or sit like this, right? So I don't think that person is going to really, really enjoy that too much. However, you can use those prior to the fact to change the chemicals in the brain. So before you go into your interview, instead maybe of sitting on your phone and texting or checking your email, sit nice and tall in your chair, or go stand in the bathroom for 2 minutes and smile at yourself in the mirror in a power pose, right? Or just simply understanding the value of straightening up, sitting tall, breathing deeply. All these physiological things really make a difference as to how we feel. The other piece of this, which I'm very passionate about, is communication, right? So I just talked about the physiology. There's all these different things that feed into how we present ourselves in the world. Communication is so huge. And so I often tell the story about how we interact with other people really affects how we feel about ourselves. Because whatever you put out there, you are going to get back 99% of the time. Have you ever just smiled at someone and watched their reaction? They can't help but smile back. Some people don't quite know what to do with that. But 9 out of 10 times that person will smile back at you, because as human beings, we're wired that way. So not only do you have the power to make yourself feel better and look better and feel more powerful and more in control and more confident, you can also do that for others. And the way you initiate any kind of communication is going to also feed into how you feel about yourself and your confidence. How you show up is going to be mirrored back to you. So you actually have the power to instigate feeling confident by helping others feel good. Other people just want to feel good too. Giving that compliment, smiling, making, yes.
Yeah, I mean that's an excellent point, and I know you have to run, so I know in your interest of time and that kind of thing, we did put in the link because you've covered some amazing statistics, amazing information, and everyone I think can learn more about posture. And I even had like one question for you. I mean, I don't get headaches.
Yes.
But I give a lot of them. So what do I do about that? So I don't ever get pains in the neck, but I have people call me that all the time. That guy's just a pain in the neck. Anyway, for any of you that want it, please follow Vanessa. She's got you can tell she's a wealth of information and knowledge. We put her links in the chat. Click on her link, follow her. Connect with her, see how she can help you, because certainly the things she has talked about, as well as that what Kathi and Mark have as well. Please click on their links, follow them, learn. These are great mentoring opportunities. So Vanessa, thank you so much for being with us and sharing with our listeners. Thank you.
Thank you too.
And thank you for carving time out of your day, because we know you were being 6 places at once. So thank you. It's nice to be in
I love
demand, right?
the
It's
fact
nice
that
to be
she's
in
a
demand.
superhero. You know,
Exactly
look
right.
at her outfit. I mean,
Yeah, she
she's
is.
like, I love the way she puts her arms to her side. That looks great.
I know. It was like,
Superhero in my eyes.
I know. Is that Wonder Woman or who is that? Oh, that's Vanessa. Oh, my mistake. So
Oh,
I'd like to.
thank you, boys.
You're welcome. Thanks for being with us. And I'd like to speak, if I can, about this amazing, amazing man, Raphael. Raphael met because of his podcast, and he was kind enough to have me on as a guest, and we just hit it off. And I want to share with you, if you want to learn about Raphael, and it's the key of what we teach. He is the personification of that, and that is watch what he does. See, because our talk talks and our walk talks, but our walk talks louder than our talk talks. And by the way, I practiced that right before I said it, just so you know. Anyway, so the thing I want to say about Raphael is that he walks his talk, and if you look at his workouts, and you look at his discipline, and you look at that, you know that discipline of what he's doing, what you're seeing him doing, is a manifestation of his mindset as not only a mental game coach, a highly disciplined person, teaching other people the joy of discipline. Because, we think discipline, we think, oh, I'm going to get a spanking, because that's what we learned when we were kids, right? And but actually not that at all. But he teaches you how there's a great joy in being disciplined and having a disciplined life and the benefits with that, in addition to being a martial arts coach. So he is, a key mental game coach, if you will, for those that want to have a higher level of results in their life, and for those that want to have a clearer understanding of not only themselves, but the world around them. And I can share with you that I have found through close association with Raphael that he is, in fact, a giver and the kind of person you want to be able to learn from at any opportunity you can. So, Raphael, could you please share some great, awesome golden nuggets with our listeners?
Sure. One of the things that when we talk about mindset, a lot of it stems from how we grew up, right? So thinking about our mindset brings me back to when I was a little guy, right? I was with my brother, and we were about three stories up, and I don't know how to count. I'm probably like 2.5 years old or whatever. And I'm pushing on the veranda, and I'm pushing, and I'm counting all the different numbers. And I did not know that two of them were loose, and I pushed and I went through. And we were looking over a courtyard, and I fell. As I fell through, I got poked in the eye with a bar where it almost took my eye out. As I kept traveling downward, here's the crazy thing. Had I been in a different part of that courtyard, I probably would have died. But things happen for a reason. So as I'm going down, there's one of those old big basins, if you guys recall, back in the old days when they used to wash the clothes. I might be dating myself. They used to wash the clothes in those big basins. Well, thank God it was underneath where I was falling, and it wasn't empty. It was full of water. So when I hit that water, the last thing I remember is seeing red. And that was it. Now, the last thing I remember was seeing red. When I woke up, I was in the lobby of the hospital. I was already leaving the hospital, probably like 3 weeks later. I have no recollection of my hospital visit. But here's the kicker. I'm in my dad's arms. There's a blanket over me. But the only thing I'm worried about is that I'm naked underneath the blanket, and I'm thinking someone's going to look at my butt. So when you think about perspective, at the moment, that's all I worried about. I never thought, hey, I was in a coma for a couple of weeks. I almost died. None of that. I was living in the moment. Oh no, someone's going to look at my butt. I'm naked under this blanket. So I was like, oh, cover me, cover me. And when we look at our lives, when we bring perspective into everything we do, what are we living for? This vessel that we call a body, how do we treat this vessel? Most of us treat our cars better than we treat our bodies. Some of us have high-end cars and we put like great fuel in it. We make sure the oil gets changed. By the way, I got my oil changed today. I did this morning. And we treat material things better than we treat ourselves. So we put junk in our body. Would you put sugar in your gas tank? No. How about salt? Absolutely not. So it's everything that we do. It's that mindset. Where are we? What are we going to do? And how far are we planning on going? Let me ask you a question. When we talk about mindset, have you thought of your last days, of your last breath? Who is going to be there? Who have you impacted? Who can you impact? What will people remember you for? Those are the questions that will determine who you are today and who you're going to be tomorrow. So when we talk about mindset, mental game change, that's what I do. I help people understand where they are now and where they need to be. Don't think of just tomorrow. Think of your last days. Who do you want there? Who's important to you? And get rid of those people who knock you down. They're not worth your time. We have time. That's the most valuable asset. Look, EA, he only wants 12 minutes. My God, 12 minutes. And he's going to give me so much information. Take his challenge. Some of you just do nothing for 12 minutes, but like daydream. And by the way, daydreaming is good as long as it's positive, right? So think about everything we do with our lives. What Kathi and Mark talked about. If you don't believe, what do we have? First, you have to believe in you. You have to look in the mirror and ask the toughest questions. And do it when you're alone. So yes, you can look and be honest with yourself. Who are you? Where do you want to be? And how far have you come? And don't worry if you've made mistakes along the way. Listen, this is why I use a pencil sometimes. Because at the end of that pencil, I have an eraser. So I can erase some of those mistakes. And sometimes I am so darn set on it, I will use a pen. Sometimes I'll even use a Sharpie because I know for a definite amount of knowledge that I have that what I'm going to put down is it. Because I've done the research, I've done the studying, I've done the work. This morning's workout, I talked about being tired, and I was actually slamming a tire, right? So think about, are you too tired to live your best life? What if there's no tomorrow? Live your best life today. Today's the day you need to embark on your future. Don't wait till tomorrow. I am here to help anyone who is ever willing to understand life a little bit differently, see it a little bit differently. And all the guests on this show are willing to share their knowledge with you guys. Don't be shy. Listen, action definitely speaks louder than words. And thoughts are great, but they're only thoughts. Put them down on paper, but then make a plan to take action on those thoughts that now you've written down. And go ahead and hit up all the guests that we've had on. Not only today, but any other days. Because I bring these guests, EA and I have partnered up to bring you some of the best coaches in the world. To make you guys better. My job is to empower people. My duty is to me first, always. Make that your duty. always take care of you first, and then that way you can help other people. EA, thank you so much for being an amazing co-host. Kathi, Mark, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us today and sharing with our audience. You taught me so much as well. EA, would you mind, and I know you don't mind, tell us about our next speakers. And by the way, I want to wish everybody a great end of the year. The year is not over. So don't wait till the new year to make your resolutions. Start today. Grab a pen, not a pencil, and write it down. What are you going to do that's going to change your life? One is reach out to all of our guests. Yeah, would you mind telling us our next speakers in January, by the way, January 14th?
Happy to do so. And I wanted to mention, I saw your workout from this morning when you were nailing that tire there. So it's clear that anyone that wants to learn from Raphael, he's going to teach you, because of what he knows about tires, how to go where others are afraid to tread.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Our speakers for our next great Lunch and Learn event, January 14th at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, is Chris Floward. I think that I hopefully pronounced it right with a last name like Solkovitz. Plord. Okay, thank you. Plord. Got it. So it's PL just the way it looks. So Ploward, which Solkovitz is not the way it looks. So that's Chris Plord. Thank you. And he's going to talk about the boundaries for success. And that there are boundaries for that. And he's going to help identify that for our listeners. And then also Esteban Merchant is going to help us with the art of communication. Who doesn't want to communicate better? And there's so many different ways to communicate. And Esteban's going to help us with that. So thank you so much for even coming up with this idea of having these lunch and learns, Raphael. And thank you for reaching out for me to be able to participate as your co-host. It's been my honor, and I look forward to the amazing ones. And you know what we can think about in 2022? Make 22 your best you. What? Let's do it. So with that, thank you so much for everyone. Thank you, Mark and Kathi, and of course, the amazing giver, Raphael. And with that, I'd like to say, as we end today's show, don't just have a good day. Have your best day ever.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Have an amazing, amazing rest of the year, and make the next year your best year ever.
I like it.
All right. Enjoy. Okay, with that, I ended the stream.